Hi, wonderful people. This is Dr. Candus, and I'm back today with a brand new video message. I am super excited to be here on today, but I am even more excited for the message that God has given me so that I can share with you on today. So hopefully your heart is open and receptive to receive this message. For those of you who are viewing my channel for the first time, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are returning, welcome back to my channel. I ask that you like, comment, and subscribe to this video, and also subscribe to this channel at the close of this video. So I want to be talking to you today about the God of second chances. That excites me. Anytime that I'm in a place where I'm just lost, as much as I read, as much as I pray, sometimes you have your feelings that hit you and you're just like, God, I'm feeling lost, I'm feeling like I'm drowning. But when God gives you a word and he tells you that I am the God of second chances, that is food to my soul, because God is telling me that with all the opportunities that you've had in the past and all the closed doors that you have experienced, God is saying, I'm going to give you another chance. And some of you out there are struggling because you may have had a past. You may have made some mistakes in your past. Society is judging you. The people around you are judging you. They may judge you because you are different or because of your past mistakes. People may not want to see you prosper and thrive because they want to see you as someone that's beneath them. People are not giving you those opportunities that you know you deserve, the opportunities that God said that you will have, and they're just giving you a bunch of opposition. There's people out there who are going through that. There are people out there who are going through a period where they are receiving rejection after rejection, doors closing, a bunch of no's. There's people out there who are just going through it, and they are like, you know what, I'm at my wit's end. God has already told me that this is for me. We have already confirmed and verified that. And I'm feeling like in my Christian walk and in this journey, there's more opposition than blessings. And I'm like, God, what's happening in my life? Is this really for me? And I wanted to share this message with you because it's very easy for us to have that give up spirit when things are not going our way, especially when we're getting tired and we feel like we have fought a long fight and we are even if you're fighting against opposition from the world and you're tired and you're weak and you're relying and depending on God and you're like, okay, God, my hands are out of this. I'm not going to allow myself to get caught in this. But, sometimes God is not going to respond when we want him to. And we call it slow. But God is saying, my timing is perfect. And so if there's any of you out there who are feeling like I give up, like this was my last straw, I'm going to look for something else to do with my career, I'm looking for other opportunities. Maybe I'm inadequate. Maybe I am what the enemy says. Maybe I'm not worth it. I want to give you this not give up spirit, but I want you to just take flight on today. I want you to declare that God has favor over your life. Not just speak it because it's so easy to talk the talk, but I want us to learn to walk the walk. So I want to ask this question to you. Are you walking in favor? Keep that question in your mind as you delight throughout this day, as you delight throughout the week. And I'm going to use the word delight because regardless of what you may think you're going to face tomorrow, you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and you're going to delight in the day regardless. And you're going to turn whatever circumstance in your head that may be wrong, you're going to turn it around to make it more pleasant. What are you thinking about your life? How are you thinking things are going to transpire in your life? If you walk in favor, you're walking with an expectation that God is going to do some things that you can't see before you right now. You see, we say we have faith with our lips, but we don't walk in faith. And if you're saying that you're walking in favor, even though your bank account may be dry right now, you're saying, I'm walking wealthy. If you're saying you're walking in favor, although there's sickness in your body right now, you're saying I'm walking in health. If you're saying I'm walking in favor, although things around you may appear to be broken, you're saying that God is going to restore some big things in my life. And so it's not about being arrogant. It's not about being prideful. It's not about saying that I'm better than the next person. It's really saying that I know who is for me. And if God is for me, And who can be against me? There is nothing in this world that can be against me. There's no devil in hell that can be against me. When the enemy tries to throw opposition your way, then God is going to send it against you, or not against you, but away from you in 7 different ways, and it's going to flee. So remember that God is for you regardless of what you see. But when you walk in victory and when you walk by favor and you walk in favor and walk by faith, God is going to do some things that are beyond your imagination. God is going to turn some things in your life right now that appears to be dead. He's going to make it alive. Things that appear to be broken, he's going to make it whole again. So I want you to think about, I'm not walking in failure. Although I've experienced failure, right? I've experienced loss. I've experienced hardships. I am walking in favor. We're going to change our mindsets on today because, like I said before, if God is a God of second chances, you have the opportunity to make some great changes in the way you walk. And so I'm going to share the message today from the book of Jonah. Jonah chapters 1 through 3 are the chapters that I'm going to summarize for you. I encourage you to go back in your spare time and read Jonah chapters 1 through 4. Once again, when you read for yourself and pray and meditate, sometimes the Holy Spirit will work within you as you're reading. God will send you a message, maybe a particular word or phrase will just jump off the text and right into your lap, and God may be speaking to you in that moment. And it's always good to learn for yourself. So I encourage you to read Jonah chapters 1 through 4 in your spare time. So I'm going to do my best to summarize. And I'm going to start now. So in chapter 1, God has already given Jonah a command. Jonah worshiped God. He left God. But God is saying, I need you to do one thing. So God is telling Jonah, he says, I need you to go to the city of Nineveh, and I want you to preach against the people there. They have wicked ways. These people are so wicked. They're not living according to my standards. I need you to preach against it. And Jonah is showing opposition. Jonah's like, I don't know about this. Like, God, can you send me to do something else? Because I'm not feeling comfortable. Can you just imagine, you go to someone else's territory, they're living wrong, but you know that there's some things you want to share with them to help make them right. You don't think they're going to be receptive. Just imagine that someone told you to go to a group of bullies and they tell you, okay, I need you to share with them that their actions are wrong and I need you to go ahead and preach against what they're doing. You may assume there's going to be opposition because they're already living their life wrong. So you're thinking that they're not going to want to hear right. And sometimes that type of task can be very intimidating because if you think about the people in your inner circle, people within your family, people within your circumstances, the people that are around you, if you try to tell them some things that they don't want to hear, but you know that they're right, sometimes they get mad at you for telling them some things that you feel, that they need to hear. And so here you're sending me, Jonah, to Nineveh, to a whole new city, their territory. These are people who you said are wicked. They're not living according to your standards, and you want me to preach, and you want me to tell them that that they're living their lives wrong. So Jonah was like, I'm not cut out for this. And so Jonah made a mistake. Instead of him obeying the will of God, Jonah tried to run away from God. And so what Jonah did was he tried to run away from God. He purchased a fare and he tried to run off to another city called Tarshish. So I want to stop there and I want to talk about running away from God. Okay. And it's so funny to me, but we do this all the time. God is the creator of you and I. God knows every follicle of hair on your head. God knows every thought that you think before you speak it. God knows every action that you take before you take them. God knows what's going to happen around you before it happens. God is all knowing. And how can we really just make logic to the fact that a God who is all knowing, who knows everything about you, how can we try to hide from God? That's exactly what Jonah did. He's like, well, I'm going to go hide because I don't want to do this. Like God was not going to go find him, right? And if you think about, some moments in your life, there have been moments where you have ran away from God, and I'm not talking about run away from God, like run to another city or run to another country or hide underneath your bed. I'm talking about run away from God. How do we do that? We disconnect from God. You may have had an active prayer life and active fellowship, with church, and you may have, been reading and just been really communicating with God. And then at some point you may be in the place you are right now and you feel like, okay, God, I can't wait on you any longer. I am learning now to lean into my own understanding. I am living in desperation right now. You're not moving fast enough. And so when we get to that point in our lives, what we do is we make a decision knowing it's the wrong decision, right? But we do it anyway out of desperation because we no longer believe that God is going to do it. And we're looking at the circumstance. And so instead, what we do when we make those wrong decisions, we unplug from God. We hide from God. Our way of hiding from God is not praying to God anymore, not reading God's word, not fellowshipping. Why? Because we think that if we just stop talking to him for a minute, he's going to forget about us. Or it's going to take light away from the mistake that we made. It's kind of how sometimes we handle our friends. When we have a disagreement with them, we just kind of pull away from them, or we just kind of, slack away from them. So we do that with God, if you really think about it. And that's one of the worst, most selfish decisions that we can ever make, because when we unplug from God, then we no longer have the supply source. We no longer have the energy that God is giving us each and every day to give us the strength and the wisdom and discernment, and to give us the things that we need so that we can coexist in this world, in this flesh. And we're giving the enemy exactly what he needs to help destroy us, to help kill us, to help steal from us. And so anytime we feel like we are desperate, the last thing we need to do is unplug from God. Even if you've made a terrible mistake, God is a God of second chances. Stay plugged and committed to God so that he can redirect our path. But that's what Jonah did. Jonah tried to run away and hide from God. And so God found Jonah. And so Jonah was in the boat, and he was trying to sail to the next city, and he was in the boat amongst other men, and God sent a great storm out into the sea. The storm was so great that the men on the boats could not control the boat. And so at some point they were like, no, something's not right. Something's happening. Somebody here is causing this to occur. So in Jonah chapter 1, verse 7, it reads, "Then the sailors said to each other, 'Come, let us cast lots to find out who is responsible for this calamity.' And so they cast the lots, and it fell on Jonah." So then at that point, they realized that Jonah was the culprit. Jonah was the one that was causing this calamity. So they questioned Jonah, and Jonah said, "Yes, I serve a God who is almighty. He's the creator of heaven and earth." And he said, "And I ran from God, and he's probably, punishing me in this moment for what I've done." So the men were like, "Well, what should we do to you so that we can calm the storm?" And Jonah's reply to them was, "Okay, you can just pick me up and throw me overboard." The men were a little bit resistant because they didn't want that to hover over them, that they're killing him so that they can calm the sea. But after a while, of trying to do it their own way, they realized the only way that they can calm the sea was to get rid of the person that caused the incident. So they took Jonah and they threw him overboard. And so at that particular point, a great fish, which is a whale, swallowed Jonah up. Now, at this point, we enter chapter 2. I love chapter 2. Chapter 2 to me was like an eye-opening chapter for me, because in chapter 2, I want to actually read a part of it, and I'm actually looking through my screen here. Um, in chapter 2, it says, "From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God, and he said, 'In my distress, I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead, I called for help, and you listened to my cry. He said, "You hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled about me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I've been banished from your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple. The engulfing waters threatened me, the deep surrounded me. Seaweed wrapped around my head. To the roots of the mountains I sank down. The earth beneath barred me in forever. But you, Lord, my God, brought my life up from the pit. When my life was ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayers rose to you, to your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols turn away from God's love for them. But I, with shouts of grateful praise, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will make good. I will say, salvation comes from the Lord." And in verse 10, it reads, "And the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah into the dry land." I love this because here's Jonah, and Jonah knew he did something wrong, and I'm quite sure that was on his conscience, and Jonah wanted to make it right. But then the Lord, instead of throwing Jonah away and allowing him to be consumed, Jonah, the Lord sent a great fish to swallow up Jonah. That was Jonah's second chance. Here he is in the belly of a whale, right? He's not dead, he's alive. And he's at a place now where instead of getting upset, instead of saying I rebel, instead of saying that I give up, that I'm here all alone, all by myself, he says, in my distress, I called to the Lord and he answered me. The first point I want to make to you is God hears you. God hears you. You know, woman of God, son of God, man of God, daughter of God. I want to share with you that if you are in a place right now where you're feeling down, where you are feeling deprived, where you are feeling defeated from the harsh remarks of people around you, from the harsh circumstances that surround you, I want you to understand that when you cry out to God, God hears you. Anytime that you have prayed to God and made your requests known, God receives them. God hears you. One of the scriptures that I've recently began to really meditate on each and every single day is a scripture from Mark 11:24, and it says, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in God, believe that you have it and it will be given unto you." You have to believe that you have it. Some of you believed at one point that you had it, but now you don't believe it. Some of you at one point was delighted in the idea of believing, but you haven't got to the point where you fully believe it. Any request that was known unto God, and you're saying, God, I want this to happen in my life. And if you believe that with every fiber of your being that God has already done it for you, then you can't go back and forth with God. Did you do it for me? Did you do it for me? God is going to do it for you. If you believe that God is going to deliver you from those things or whatever circumstance, believe that God is going to do it for you. And so if you believe in your heart that whatever request that was known unto God, that God was going to do it for you, it is already done. And I love that because, sometimes, we know that God is able to do some things, but then the biggest problem that we have is, well, is God going to do it for me? Because he's doing it for this person and that person, and everybody else around me. But when will he do it for me? And I think, sometimes we get stuck with, okay, well, you haven't done it for me yet. So is it really for me? And so I want you to just get to a place where you understand that God is a God of second chances. You are still here. And so there's still opportunity for things to happen in your life. But one of the other things I love about this, it says that you hurled me into the depths, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled about me. He said, I've also felt like I've been banished from your sight, right? And some of you out there are feeling like you have been banished from God's sight. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but even Jesus, when he was on the cross and he was dying and he reached up and he cried out, Lord, why have you forsaken me? Sometimes we feel forsaken when there's so much opposition and we are hurt and we are feeling the physical pain and the emotional pain. And we're like, God, I don't know what else to do. And we are crying out loud to God and we're thinking that God has forsaken us. But if you really believe with all your heart that God loves you, God will never forsake you. Just as you as a parent or an aunt or a guardian or, even a boss to people that you love, you will never forsake them. If you stand strong to the word that you give those people and even the love and the attention and the affection that you show them, then you will never leave them. You will never leave their side, especially not intentionally. And God is an intentional God, so God will never leave your side. And so, but sometimes we feel that way. We feel forsaken. But what I love about the scripture is in chapter 1, verse 6, it says, to the roots of the mountains I sank down, the earth beneath barred me forever. But you, Lord my God, you brought my life up from the pits. God is going to bring your life up. If you feel like you are in a pit, if you feel like you're under the sea, you're drowning, if you feel like you're in darkness, if you feel like your back's against the wall, if you feel like you're smothering and being buried, God will deliver you from the pit. It didn't say that you almost did. It says you delivered me. And there are so many scriptures that you can fall back on that shows you how real God is. So you have to believe in God. So my first point is God hears you. Anything that you say to God, God hears you. And so as we move on to chapter 3, okay, so in verse 10 in chapter 2, the Lord commanded, he commanded the whale to vomit Jonah out. God has power, but he also has authority. The enemy has power, but he has no authority. Whose side are you on? I want to be on the winning side. God has the authority. He can tell a great fish to vomit and he's just going to vomit. Like, come on now. You know, God has the authority to do all things, and God has allowed so many great things to happen that even in your lifetime that have occurred. God can tell this mountain to move and it's going to move. And so we have to be encouraged and also understand God's power. He has the authority. He can take this situation and reverse it for you. He can take what's broken and make it whole once again for you. God is a miracle maker. God is a way maker. He is God. There's nothing that is more powerful with God. And there's nothing impossible with God. So we have to understand God's ability. So once he told the whale to vomit Jonah out, here's Jonah, right? He's back on land. But God wasn't done with him. God gave him a command earlier, and Jonah did not execute it. So in chapter 3, God is telling Jonah, okay, I'm sending you back. I'm giving you this command for the second time. He said, but I'm going to give you this command with a proclamation. So I need you to go back to Nineveh for the second time, and I want you to proclaim a message that I'm giving to you. And so Jonah obeyed, and Jonah went back to the land, and didn't go back, but he went to Nineveh, and he proclaimed the message to the Ninevites. And the message was 40 more days and 40 more nights, Nineveh will be overthrown. Now, let me explain this. Before, Jonah was afraid. You know, my next point is God gives commands. God has been giving you commands to do things. God is saying, you're saying that I want to give up right now, but I'm commanding you to try again. This is your second chance. And this may be your chance number 14, but I'm saying go again. And some of you are like, no, God, I'm scared. I don't want to go. I've been told no, they're bullies. You know, I've been rejected so many times. I don't have the capacity to do it. I feel inadequate. I don't want to try again. But Jonah, at this time, when God gave him a second chance, because Jonah got his second chance, right? Jonah also said, I need you to do something and be obedient. And so God told Jonah to go back to Nineveh. So Jonah did that and he was obedient. But guess what happened? Everything that Jonah thought would happen did not happen. The Ninevites believed Jonah. And to his surprise, they began to make ultimate sacrifices. They began to fast. And by the end of chapter 3, going into verse 10, it says, when God saw that they did when God saw what they did and how they turned from their evil ways, he relented and did not bring on them the destruction that he had threatened. God is a wonderful God. My third point is God loves you. He loves me. He loves you. He loves the people around you. This text shows a lot of different, messages, and I have a few perspectives I want to share. First of all, God was focusing on the Ninevites. His whole purpose was to use Jonah to help save the Ninevites, to help these people. God could have easily said, I'm going to destroy them. God could have easily given up on Jonah because he turned his back. Some of you have turned your backs against God, but you've given up on yourself more than God has. God is saying, yeah, you turned your back on me, but I'm not giving up on you. Some of you have this give up spirit. And you feel like because you made a mistake that God won't forgive you. But God is a God of second chances. He loves you. These people, the Ninevites, were living wickedness. You know, they were wicked. And it says it specifically in the Bible. God could have said, these people are I'm going to destroy them. They disgust me. But God was like, no, I'm pursuing them. God is pursuing you right now in whatever that you're going through. He pursued them more than once. And he pursued them to the point where they turned from their evil ways because he used Jonah to help save these people. And because they believed God, when Jonah came, God saved them. That is remarkable. That is exciting. And so I wanted to share this message with you because, God will never leave you nor forsake you. Even if you have gone astray, even if you have unplugged, even if you've been disconnected in some way, even if you felt guilty for a past mistake, God loves you. God will never leave you nor forsake you. There are many celebrities out there who have awesome stories about how they made it today. And many of them can tell you, celebrities and even entrepreneurs, many of them can tell you they almost gave up, but they took that one last chance. And that one last chance was their breakthrough. How many of you are walking towards your breakthrough? You can't walk towards your breakthrough if you don't walk. As a matter of fact, you will never reach that breakthrough if you give up. We're not having this give up spirit. We're walking in favor. We're walking with to make major breakthroughs. We're making major strides. We're allowing God to lead us in the path that He wants us to go. So don't walk in defeat, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you see before you. Continue to fight, continue to stand strong, to continue to hold fast. God is going to make a way for you. But I also want to share with you, yes, God is a God of second chances. He's giving you a second chance, and you have to allow yourself that second chance. But we also have to give second chances to other people. I'm talking about the people in our lives. Yes, we got to prune some things in our circumstances and cut away some old and make room for the new. There's a season for so many different things. But are you a forgiving person? Just as we expect God to give us second and third chances, are you a person that just disregard people? Are you a person that just throw people away? Do you allow people second chances in your circle? Do you care enough about people to pray for them, even if they're not changing their ways before you? Do we exemplify the love that God gives us? Do we are we the epitome of goodness that God shows us? Do we show people the love and the respect and the concern and the kindness and all the great things that God gives us? And so we can't demand some things from God if we're not willing to give some things for God. And even if it's showing love to your neighbor, that is for God. It pleases God. So we got to also get in the mindset of giving, because just as we're looking for our breakthrough, right? God still gave Jonah his breakthrough, but he said, okay, go ahead, and I need you to do something I want you to do. I need you to help these people out. And if your calling is not ministry, that's great. But God is telling you that there's people around you that you can also be a blessing to. Are you giving and allowing other people second chances? Are you holding grudges to people in your past? Are you able to forgive others from their past mistakes? And if you are demanding those things from God, then I need you to think about, what are some changes that I need to make? One of the things I feel is a bridge from the dream to manifestation is the transformation. It all begins with us. If we're not willing to change for others, then how can we allow God to change our circumstances? There are many blessings, and I mentioned this before, that God wants to give us, but we're not ready to receive them because we may not be mature enough to receive those things. And God may have a very special calling for you in your life. It may be something beyond what you can ever imagine or think. And God may be trying to prune you and trying to get you to that path. But if you're not willing to make those changes, you will never know what God has in store for you. So I pray that this message was a message that you can receive. I am asking that you walk in favor from the time this video ends until you reach your manifestation, until you reach your blessing. Walk in favor. Don't walk by sight, walk by faith. Regardless of what the enemy throws before you, continue to walk in victory. Regardless of how you feel, allow God's presence to just fill you up. Continue to be around people who are going to uplift you, people who are going to pray for you, people that are going to help you and give you wisdom that you need. Never disconnect from God. ever try to run away from God, God always knows. He's all knowing, and He knows and He understands what you're going through. He is a person that wants to help you. So, once again, I hope that this message was a blessing to you. And I pray that in weeks to come and in even days to come, that you are able to be strong in your Christian faith until you reach your destination. I also ask that you pick up a copy of my latest book titled The Core, Exercising Godly Character Through the Nourishment from Spiritual Fruits. This book is about the fruit of the Spirit, and it will help you understand the way to live a life that exemplifies the character of God. Thank you for your time. God bless.